Hello and welcome to a new tutorial related to my spaceship in MMBasic on the Super Color Maximite 2, which I have right here. In my previous videos I was telling you, and you also saw that I had some issues with flickering on the device, and it took me a while to realize, and a lot of tries to realize what causes the flickering. First, let's see how it works. So I have my spaceship, which can be moved around, and I need to be I had also to stop the device, the spaceship, to move over the edges, but still it's calculating a little bit wrong, so you can see it's hiding. Half of it is can be hidden around the corners, but that's not a big damn issue right now. My biggest issue was with flickering, and as you can see, it really stopped flickering. And more than this, I added a bonus for you. If I press the space key, boom, it can shoot. Ha! It can really shoot projectiles. Look at it. Bam, bam, bam. You see that? It's lovely. Super lovely. And it works pretty well. I mean, I'm really satisfied compared to what was previously. It was it's really an improvement. But that's it related to the functional level. Let's hit Control C and see in the source code what I did to change to make it happen. So previously I didn't use any mode command. Actually, the mode command is something which changes the video resolution and changes the color depth on the device. And my default color mode was 16, which meant that I've got a full HD resolution, and with 8 bits of color. But the 8 bits didn't matter that much, since I had the 16 mode already active. So let's do one test. If I comment this code right here, and if I run the application, you can see it's full HD now. The resolution is full HD, but the movement is very slow, and it's a little bit choppy, and I don't really like it. I mean, if you look in the source code, at some point I use the page copy command. Page copy is really important because it's using a back buffer for the rendering, and then when you copy, it only copies the pixels back into the main buffer. And as you can see, I'm using the B. Means the B parameter means that it's doing this on the over the page blanking. So that means it's not doing while the screen it refreshes. So it's going to avoid the flickering. But this command is very slow. And to me, I think for games, and it's really enough that you use this mode 1 and 8 bits of color depth. That will be more than enough. But bear in mind that this means like 18 by 600 pixels resolution. So it's not maybe that much, but it should be enough for the most games where you require like a real-time and precise movement. I do believe that in some cases you can use draw with full HD command, but for things like, I don't know, user interface and stuff which doesn't require real-time updates on the screen. So that's why by adding this mode 1, it fixed my flickering issue. Let's reactivate it and see. Yeah, and it's very fast to move, and you can also shoot, which is super cool. I like the functionality so far. And let's dive a little bit. Let me explain you around the source code. The source code is not really I have a lot of commented code, but I want to adapt it and publish it on GitHub. Practically, I wanted my code to be very compatible with also Picomite devices. I do have a PicoCalc, which is based on the Picomite. But in case of this device, I don't include my library. So in the lib folder, I do have a couple of libraries, which when I'm publishing, I'm concatenating them into an all script, and then I include them because I do have some graphics commands and utility stuff over there, which I'm using in the implementation. Then you can see a couple of color constant, positioning constants, projectile constants. I had a little bit of help from Copilot to get the projectile up and running, but it didn't do it very well for the first time, so I had to adapt the code a little bit. So just you can use also modern technology to help you out, because maybe back in the 80s, if you wanted to code this stuff, it took much longer. So to me, it's in this century of speed and nobody has time and blah blah blah. It really helped me a lot, because I also don't really have just the time to get every functionality up and running from the top of my head. So I'm using resources which are available at the moment. Of course, don't overuse them. Use also your brain, but it's really fantastic what we can achieve today. Yeah, I do have a couple of initial setup. I have this utility screen width, screen height, and then I also have the another function defined in my lib, screen center X. I also have the screen center Y. Um, I do have a function called ensure valid graphics window, simply because it's and this code is also, I tested it on my, you can have an emulator on your computer, on your PC. And I also wanted the code to be compatible with that one. This is a function which draws my spaceship with the body, polygons, boxes. Then we have the draw projectile. A function which draws a projectile at the coordinates x and y. We have the radius. We have this is I think the color of the margin. No, not the color, the width of the margin, and then a 0.3 is a sort of a skewing of the circle, and then we have the color. So this is um, the projectile color itself, and then you have the fill color, right? So both of them are filled with the same color. And then I also have, since I'm not using the projectiles themselves are not sprites at the moment. I don't know if it's a really mandatory thing to do them as a sprite. I saw they work very well in this configuration. I do also have a clear projectile function, which is the same like the draw function, just that we clear the projectile with the background color. And this is as well an utility function from my libraries. Then we have a fire projectile function, because when we hit the space key, I call this function, and I just have the constant, the max projectiles, which I think it's 50. Then it tries to find the active projectile from the array. If it's 0, then it positions itself at these coordinates, where the position of the spaceship is, and then it sets it to 1, which means the projectile is active, and it increases the projectile count. Okay, and then it exits this sub command. And then update projectiles is practically called on every frame draw. it goes through all the projectiles, and if it's active, then it's clearing the projectile from where it's currently now, and then it increases the y coordinate. That means it increases, actually decreases. Because what happened when, and that's why AIs are really stupid, and especially for MMBasic. So the AI, the copilot, practically said that, okay, Dick, actually we have increase. This increase function increases a variable by 1 or by a value which you supply. But there's no decrease command. So initially the AI said decrease, blah, blah, blah. But actually it's not well. So I had to remove that and use the increase projectile y. And practically we increase with a negative value, so we decrease. And this is we decrease by projectile speed. And if we have reached the end of the screen on the top margin, then we deactivate the projectile and we increase by decreasing with -1. So it's we decrease the projectile count with 1. And then we have, yeah, this is something render projectile. So if it's active, then we draw the projectile, and that's it. I think this is called on every at the beginning of the draw function on each frame. Good. Then we do some initialization for the projectiles. We the first the spaceship, and then the last position is the last position of the spaceship. Then we define the projectile coordinates and active arrays and the projectile count variable. And we have the handle key press, which is a routine which is called whenever a key press is detected from the user. This is like the left key, the right key, the up and down. And 32 is the space key, which then fires the projectile. Then we have this bounds, to bound it to a certain limit, to bound the spaceship in the top corner, on the bottom, or the right, on the left. Yeah, good. We have then some variables for the key functionality, for the key press. Then we try to do the sprite. Sprite close all, closes all the sprites. So what happens? I do have my draw spaceship function, but I'm using sprites just to be on the safe side, because sprites should be used for things like space characters, spaceships, whatever, any kind of resources in your game. And in this case, I'm trying to do the sprite. Yeah, practically in the first version. Now it's not really needed. I can comment this code, I think, anyway. The thing is that you can, and the code is adaptable. I do check my platform device. If it's a pick or cal, then I use Blitz instead of sprites, since sprites are not supported. Of course, the code doesn't really run very well, but I'm still working on that. So practically, I'm reading a blank portion of the screen just to have the possibility of clearing it, right? But with sprites, you don't really need that. But with Blitz, it's necessary, because you have to then clear the previous position of the spaceship, then redraw it. No, I'm drawing the spaceship. I'm drawing the spaceship, and then in this, with these commands, I'm reading the contents of the spaceship with the blit on the picocalc, and with the read sprite read on the Color Maximite, or the emulator. Then I do an initial clear screen. This is commented code. Then I show the sprite. I do show it in the initial position with sprite show. Then I do have two constants. I have the FPS, so this is practically the desired or the maximum amount of frames per second that we will achieve on this device. It should not go further than that. And this is the frame time, so how much time it should take every frame should take how many milliseconds per second, right? And we do some calculation. The next frame should be in with like from current timer plus frame time and frame start and frame end. I don't know if these are used anymore, and like frame duration is the average frame duration that we have in our game. Now we do the main loop, and this is very critical. This is where every frame is computed. At the start of every frame, I'm checking if there's any key code pressed from the user. So by using this for key loop from 1 to key down of 0, you then get the key code of every key which has been pressed from the keyboard, and then I call the handle key press. Then I update the projectiles if necessary, and I move if any key press moves the position of the spaceship, then I do like a redraw. And on the PicoCalc, I do first a flay by writing with the bleed number 3, which is the blank bleed. I override, practically I clear that portion of the spaceship, so practically I'm erasing the spaceship from the screen. With the sprite, you don't need to do that. It's automatically handled by the hardware. And if we support the pages in this case, the PicoCalc doesn't support them, by the way. I'm writing first to the page 1, simply because page 0 is the page which is the active page that you see on the screen, and I'm writing on the background page. So in the memory, so I'm practically buffering and preparing page 1 to be shown on the screen. Then I'm writing with the bleed right in case of the PicoCalc, or with the sprite option. With the next command of the subcommand of the sprite will show the sprite to the new position. Then with the sprite move, it moves all the sprites. We only have one sprite for now, but this sprite move moves all the sprites into their new positions atomically. This is commented out code. So that's why you see this kind of code mess, because I tried all the options, all kinds of possibilities to remove the screen flickering. Then we are rendering the projectiles at every frame regardless of the position of the spaceship, because those are moving constantly. Okay, frame duration is whenever the frame started and the current timer. So this is practically the time it took to compute all these things. And then I'm increasing the frame time when the next frame should start. And then I'm copying the page. This is a pretty long operation. I'm pre-copying the page 1 to the current display page. And just in case this is pretty fast, so I'm just doing a limit timer until the next frame, so the CPU will wait. So that will give us some smooth animation and some smooth operation of the spaceship and also of the projectiles on the screen. Then there's a lot of balderdash code, and then we finish the loop. Now let's run it one more time, and we see it's working. It shoots projectiles, and it's really awesome. I like it, and now I'm very proud of the result. In my next tutorial, I plan to add some enemy ships, and then they can shoot as well. I also want to adapt the code to run properly on the emulator and also on the PicoCalc. Now I know the PicoCalc is a very limited device. I may not be able to provide a full experience on that, but I will try as well, and I will keep you informed with the evolution of this project. And I will also cleanse the code of every balderdash code and junk that I've left around, and I will publish it to GitHub. So please don't forget to also check my description of this video to see the code in action, to download it and play around with it. And let me know what you think and what directions would you like to see in this project, or maybe other sort of games like puzzle games or whatever interesting games you may have in mind. Let's try to work together to contribute. You can contribute to the code if I publish it on GitHub, and it should be a nice experience for every developer or someone who is aspiring to become a programmer. And it's really interesting because you learn it from someone who knows and has 15 years of experience in programming and other languages as well, like C# or databases like PostgreSQL. I also have Linux under C experience. I have quite a lot of experience with it. And the thing is that I don't give up very easily when it comes to challenges in programming in general. So don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Check out my other videos. I do also have a couple of videos related to game console, such as this one, the R36 Max. And I'm trying to add into my library of videos more stuff. Maybe they are not really related, but I want to see what kind of content you folks want, and to provide them with the best, to provide you with the best that I can. So thank you very much for watching, and see you soon. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and also have a newsletter. If you find it interesting, you can also check on my website www.afietra.com/subscribe. So you can also subscribe to my newsletter, and it's gonna be fun. Thank you very much for watching, and wishing you a nice day.